there's a pattern reoccurring where people are like, no, she's not nice.
You basically had, what I see, a social sanction. We now are critical of her.
Point has been driven home that that's not her homegirl. When you're working in a field as competitive as music, ain't no friends in the game.
Once someone is allotted the position or the role of public target, people will take advantage of that, and anything that a person does is going to be wrong.
You're mad because people are questioning who you are, your blackness. They're not questioning Cleo's blackness.
Hello, beautiful Black people. It's not a setup.
Look, I'm like, what are we talking about? But let's get into it.
We are talking about Ice Spice and Cleopatra. Maybe I will hand it off to Foreign, let Foreign give the background, because I feel like Rebecca. I was just explaining before we started recording Rebecca that normally I was like, I feel like Ice Spice is almost like for my niece and them. Like I feel removed, and I know Rebecca feel like that. So 100%. Foreign, explain what the backstory is, and then we'll get into it.
That's a madness. Y'all having the sisters of head right here on. I feel like the sisters of head on the stream, right? The sisters of head nigga on the stream right now talking about Black women business. Wow, thank you.
Who already made a video about it on his channel, mind you.
I knew you was gonna start that, Okay, because and the reason being, I already prepared for this. The reason being is this is about dark. This is about us people that are darker than blue. It transcends, but is very much involved with misogyny, of course, the anti-blackness specifically reserved for dark-skinned women. However, as I can begin to reconcile with it, essentially Ice Spice, the light-skinned gal that's been stretching that 15 minutes of fame far longer than it was supposed to. Basically, Stretch Armstrong, the thing, dead far, right? And then, gal must be brought a dark-skinned, also rapper named Cleopatra, who I unfortunately refer to as Cleopatra because of ADHD and just I don't know, maybe all of it. So I was calling her that. So please, you all in the comments, if I call her Cleopatra, know that it isn't because I was, it's a real thing. But yeah,
great
so
name, by the way.
There, it's a very good
Yeah,
name. Honestly, it's beautiful. And yeah, so she apparently went on. She is Ice Spice's friend. Apparently, Ice Spice, out of the magnanimity of Ice Spice heart, she brought this dark-skinned gal, this dark-skinned gal to her. To her, she's saying that, right? She brought her on to tour with her, to go and give her a leg up in her career. All the while, at every step, it has been shown that Ice Spice has dogged her out at every step of the way. If it wasn't simply for just sneaking out to get food behind the gal back, to things like basically making her pay for her lodging, pay for her food. Lord, gal probably had to go and pay for all of this stuff, the transportation and everything. And it has finally come out as Cleopatra has a medley of different accounts and story times, actually amazing story times. That is a great career for her right there. Story times detailing not only what Ice Spice has done to her, the heinous things that Ice Spice has done to her, but it's also a tangential commentary on being the dark-skinned friend and what that space of being a dark-skinned woman in particular, in proximity to a light-skinned woman, what that means, what role that is to play, and how exactly you occupy space inside their narrative. Because to them, you are an NPC, you are a juxtaposition point to better yourself, to look charitable, or to look better than. And I think that as a cis Black man, the way that I was able to explain it to myself and reconcile with the fact that why am I talking about this is because I had to own up to the fact that colorism, being from a Black nation, is something that I have participated in. I have in some ways benefited from because it operates a little bit different for dark-skinned Black men. Dark-skinned Black men are seen as more powerful. Light-skinned Black men, shout out to Drake, look softer. So colorism kind of works in that way for us. But for women and femmes, it works in the reverse.
Yeah.
When it comes to desirability, light-skinned women are often seen as softer. They're seen as more desirable. And dark-skinned women are seen as more, permissible and not worthy of protecting. And things like that. That was a long Bahamian answer of it, but hey.
And the only thing I add to that, because that's spot on with Cleopatra, She serves as a little bit more extra for Ice Spice than just seeming like charitable or like, you know, being the friend. Cleopatra was had a platform and was relevant before Ice Spice. Like, I followed Cleopatra before I even knew Cleopatra was rapper. Cleopatra is funny. Like, she's a personality online. Yeah, I think Cleopatra already had 1 million followers before Ice Spice was anybody. And so
the let's get the bill thing. Yeah.
Right. And so like the friendship with Cleopatra, like, helped Ice Spice seem more like New York. Like, Cleopatra is like authentically nobody questions Cleopatra. So like creating the appearance that like people were led to believe kind of that they have a friendship that go way back. So it made Ice Spice seem more legitimate. And also Cleopatra, if you go look at Cleopatra's aesthetic, like Cleopatra, how she dresses, all that and the next thing, Ice Spice is very clearly taken from that image and aesthetic.
I mean, Cleopatra is the real Nigerian
look. Yes, my good sis, which in, you know, the whole like Ice Spice is Nigerian thing.
You getting into something different right there. I don't know if you know what you top on right there.
So she very much there's a whole bunch that she actively is like. Cleopatra hasn't just been to like service the dark skinned friend she brought up. It's been like who she's like gotten credibility from and like more attention and a look and yada yada yada, while it's not been benefiting Cleopatra in the same way. So I'll give it to the room.
Well, also going. Oh, sorry. You go first.
Go ahead. Wow.
I was just gonna say, like,
we could sing together.
So, right, but we cannot talk together. Okay, I'm gonna go. Just because I feel like there's a little bit more context. Just because I stay in all of the dolls' business when it's made public. I feel like too, the reason why I approach this conversation with a little bit more like, Ice Spice girl, please, you're already talentless. I think that's. To me, sorry, there's no shade.
O in the background is so fun.
But yes, you're already talentless, and then the context that makes me approach her with a little bit of like, I don't know if I live for you, and I'm ready to be on your ass about this particular situation, is because like 4 or 5 months ago, another dark skinned friend of hers named Storme exposed her for. Not like Nicki Minaj and a bunch of other stuff that really I don't care about, but the context of that conversation that I did care about is when she exposed her for basically, I forget the actual like verbatim text about Doechi, who's another dark-skinned artist. You're right.
What'd she say?
Seeing a trend there.
What you said about Doechi?
Right. So she said that she said something to. Oh,
so good. No, I was just saying, so good. She's so good. Giving Grace Jones. I just love it. Sorry.
Right, the house.
The house.
She said that Doechi always feels like she has to work harder because she's dark skinned, with like a gun to the head emoji, as if like I'm exhausted by that storyline. And then the person that she was texting, her dark skinned friend, was like, this is true, but only partially. To which I want to hear her argument around partially. But then she responds to her dark skinned friend who says that's true by saying, which I understand, but she also she's one of the chosen dark skins. That was her. Now that's a direct quote. She's one of the chosen dark skins who also benefits from pretty privilege because she's skinny. And then she referenced her song Booty Drop because Doechi does have a sickening figure. So I walked into this conversation feeling like, yeah, you have a pattern of being in proximity to dark-skinned women and then talking shit about them behind their back, or trying to to Foreign's point, be in proximity to them to utilize them as a prop. So it never, also not even just because they're dark-skinned, but just because they are unambiguously black. And there's been a lot of questions around her claiming that she's black. And also Cleopatra said her dad is not Nigerian, that he is some sort of Latin, as if he can't be both, but she said that he's Latino. So I don't know if he's Nigerian. I've never seen the dad, but he could be both things. He could be Nigerian and Latin.
He looks like Raven Baxter's father.
You're talking about Ice Spice's father. He actually tweeted out in response to people questioning where he came from, and they're like, "So are you Nigerian?" You know, they went to find him on Twitter, and he responded. He's like, he took an ancestry test. Everybody right here who take it, we all Nigerian, okay? If we all take it, we're going to be 2%, 5%, 3%, 55%. We know you Nigerian, Olay. And like, we just know this, right? But he said because he took the ancestry test that he was Nigerian. And meanwhile, Cleopatra. So I want to add this tidbit for those two people. And I know a lot of us, if we had people around us who want to make you feel small because they kind of envy that about you. She wants that a lot of people question, like she's ambiguous. A lot of people question, is she black? Is she this? Is she whatever? We know Dominicans, I know black. Not all of them, but they be the ones to say, I know black. I know black. They don't want to say that they're black. Majority. I'm Haitian. I got my family who does live in the DR. Some of them live in the DR. I got Dominican family in France, all the things. And I know black. Over there, they not black, right? That's what they say. And so she's like with Dominican or whatever. And she presents as something else. We don't know. Nobody knew. But she says she does, like, a lot of people question that about her. So I think her attaching herself to Cleopatra, a real girl's girl, a girl that everybody can relate to. She's funny. She's beautiful. She's built her platform. Cleopatra didn't ask her to go on her tour. She didn't ask Ice Spice to go on the tour. Ice Spice asked her to come on the tour. And it was, as Cleopatra stated in her monologue or storytelling on TikTok, you know, it was almost as if it was to save face because of her fallout with her friend, Ice Spice's fallout with her dark-skinned friend. But I feel like it just gave more so how you see people will attach to you because they want to be those things. You're mad because people are questioning who you are, your blackness. They're not questioning Cleo's blackness. You're mad because a lot of people are questioning, like, are you a mean girl? Or are you this? And how you talk about friends. Nobody questions that about Cleopatra. Cleopatra is actually Nigerian. And all of a sudden, you wanted to tap in and say you you Nigerian too. Sis, she has to be stopped. Those are those friends. And then invited her onto yes, and then invited her to the you know, saying that she would take care of her. This is a few days, and she thought it was going to be like my friend is inviting me on tour. Let me go support. She'll support me. She said, I'll hold you down. And what I see here is more of somebody who wanted to sabotage and break this person down more. And as Cleopatra had stated in her video, it felt like it's because she challenged her on when she did mess up and fall out with her friend. She actually challenged Ice Spice. Cleopatra challenged Ice Spice and questioned her about that. Ice Spice didn't care about it, but then they got back. You know, she said they rehashed and got back together, and then she invited her out to the tour. And it was almost like to sabotage her, to make her feel bad, just for her to have the audacity to say, can he take my bags too? She wanted her to make her feel like, I'm better than you. I'm better than you. You didn't answer that Nigerian question on that podcast for me. You didn't have my back. You know, you didn't tell them that I was Nigerian too, or at least you could have said I was black. I was something, you know. So she wanted the reinforcement for her blackness. Cleopatra didn't have to do that. Baby, I present well. I come in. This is me. I'm me. I love myself, and you don't love yourself. And then you invited me on here to break me down in front of people, to embarrass me. And that's what we saw here. And it has a lot to do with colorism. And then Ice Spice not loving who she is. She, you know, she didn't like who she was with the little baby fat on her. She's young. To me, she's an adorable girl. I think she's beautiful. She has a unique look, but she doesn't love herself. And that's what I assume. And then for her to attach herself to somebody who loves themselves, who loves who they are, and is very likable. This is a person that walks around, Ice Spice walks around because people don't like her in real life. Her friends don't like her. How she talks about legends, people that put her on. I'm not a huge fan of Nicki Minaj. I'm not mad at Nicki Minaj. I listen to her music, you know, especially my old young self, you know, the early 2000s, mid 2000s, I listened to Nicki, right? But having Ice Spice, who a lot of people believe, as you said, Herbie, is talentless, being on a track for a huge movie with Nicki Minaj, but also Ice Spice sending out text messages saying that Nicki Minaj is entitled. Baby, you just got here
But it was Ice Track. It was Ice Track, and she brought it to Nicki.
But that's okay. But Nicki's the one that made it pop. Nobody was gonna be like Nicki really made that song pop. Of course, my children, my niece, absolutely loved it. She said, "Who's that lady on there?" And I'm like, "What lady?" She's like, who's the lady on the song? She's talking about Nicki Minaj. Because she's like, I hear Ice Spice, but who's that lady? You know, so, you know, it transcends the music. You know, Nicki Minaj being on the track allowed it to be bigger than and added for Ice Spice. It was Ice Spice's track, but they got Nicki for a reason.
Yeah. So real quick, Streets is saying also that like her downfall, Ice Spice's downfall, is very much due or in part due to her dissent against, you know, Nicki and the Bobs them. I ain't into none of that. This is a stress signal. I ain't want none of that. But I'm saying also too, you touched on it a little bit, right? And this is from the now. So the TM speak like basically from our standpoint, right? From our vantage point, how we were seeing the thing, right? Because when everybody was starting to talk about, oh, what is Ice Spice? Oh, we got a problem with us in there. The TM wasn't saying that. So TM was just seeing that like she had that one drop rule with the booty shorts and a couple of cheeks was hanging out. The was in alignment for that. The was all for that. So wasn't very critical of Ice Spice yet, because yet again, TM, we didn't care about that. We just saw, I forget what music video it was. I don't even remember the song. We just saw us, and us was hanging out. It was, she was, I feel like there was like a minor inside that video and didn't even care. TM. That's them though. That's a TM. This ain't not over here though. Not like us. So basically, now this is the interesting part that I would love you all take on, because yet again, terminally cis, fatally het. You basically had, what I see, kind of like a social sanction or whatever type of things that we did not reserve for Ice Spice as it pertains to criticism. We now are critical of her. And the only thing now is the fact that she has lost weight in a particular amount of period. You know, I don't want to say it's the Ozempic way, because there's something wrong with that.
Yeah.
But like,
baby, it ain't.
Man, baby. But the thing is, because like they assign like a moral thing to losing weight quickly, and they begin to get into that. So like that's a part of it that I want you all to take on. But essentially how now began to get a little, you know, they were just like, she looked tired. You know, she looked like she didn't want to throw ass no more. We can start being critical of her. So like the started to retaliate against her, right?
I have something.
Doja lost weight. Go, Kenny.
She shave off the hair and all that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. As the resident chubby girl here, I would like to say that, well, a few things. Going back to the point that Rebecca brought up, I think I was never like, I never had any particular opinion of Ice Spice. I do perceive her as talentless. But you know, I feel like there's plenty of talentless white people that be going around. So I don't, you know, I feel like closer in a way to equality for us to be mediocre and still get farther. But with that said, I started perceiving a lot of her insecurities in relation to not being perceived as Black, as well as being perceived and be within that in the communities that she's trying to pop off with, which also includes a lot of white people, that she was perceived as chubby in those circles. Like, really? Because I remember distinctly, like really early in her career, she was talking about how she liked this one rock dude. And he had a podcast where he was calling her a chubby Chinese woman.
I think
Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift's ex. Yeah. And then she did music with Taylor Swift to save her face, and that's a whole other conversation. But
to save her Nazi boyfriend, yeah.
Yeah, to save her Nazi boyfriend. But it does go to show, though, that a sizable number of Ice Spice constituents would perceive her as overweight at the time. And then I think on top of that, she already had her own insecurities about her body and about her perceived Blackness or not perceived Blackness. Then on top of that, you don't have no talent, allegedly. And so you combine all those things together, and now we're at a situation where the things that would kind of protect someone else, like there's a lot of people that'll ride to the death for like a Kanye or a Nicki or any of these, a Drake, even to some degree. But people that they at least like their product or perceive them as being talented in some way or another. Now we're left with someone who is mean to either people behind the scenes. And then there were certain situations where I just happened to see tangentially like, okay, that's not great. I was going to talk about it right before going into like the fat phobia that seems to also permeate a lot of her comments. She was saying to Cleo, Traptra. That is hard to say. The Trappa, Cleo. Ooh, it's a good name. I can't pronounce.
Just say Cleo. Just say Cleo.
To Cleo.
Yeah, there we go.
Which is odd because Cleo, like, to bring in fat phobia with two thin people is like, where did that come from? But essentially, I had noticed several months ago, like she was trying to pop off with a fan that had said something to her that was, in the grand scheme of criticisms, pretty mild. It was something like, I need her to do something else. Like, I need her to switch it up.
I disagree with that being mild. They said she needs to go
Oh,
back
do
to
you?
the hood. Like that was not mild. What?
Okay.
That.
I mean, as an artist, when I think of like a criticism like that, I think of like expand your art form. Like that's okay. Like she does this, and I think that's a criticism that is kind of expected
But that's
with
not the
making art.
criticism, though. She said that they need to throw her back into the Bronx, telling her to go back to the hood.
Yeah.
That's a different thing than like saying like her music sucks, like or like
Maybe I'm misremembering.
That was the tweet. I remember it. I remember it.
Oh, okay.
It was viral.
But I do.
Disrespectful.
Okay. So I'll amend that. But her response to that was to show a picture of the girl, and maybe that's why I'm leaving that conversation like I'm confused, because it was just a plus size person standing there. So I'm like, what do you want me to take from this? Like, how is this the get back?
I have a controversial opinion.
Okay.
Now this is probably going to get me dragged. I'm fine with that. This wouldn't be my first rodeo. I think there's a lot of context that is just like not being considered when it comes to her. First, I agree that Ice is colorist. Like she has shown her ass too many times. The Doechi text, that was already a step too far for me.
Mm-hmm.
But then like the treatment of Cleo, like I just want to acknowledge, like I believe that Ice Spice has displayed colorism like multiple times. And
I agree.
there's no beating that, right? I do believe also one thing that people aren't considering is that she's from the Bronx. I'm sorry. I worked in the Bronx for a year and a half, and let me tell you, those are some of the meanest people I've ever met in my life. And I think she very much so embodies that part of Bronx culture. Because I do think she's mean. I'm not even gonna I can't my sister didn't burn too many bridges. As someone who is an Ice Spice fan, or who was at least, like I used to like her music a lot. It's to the point where we are mutuals on Twitter. I don't know how long we will be that after this conversation. I can acknowledge that I don't think she's talentless, because making songs that are listenable, like that are bops, is a talent. Do I think she's a lyricist? No. Do I think she's the most talented MC? No. Do I think she's the most talented performer? No. I do agree that in many ways she's mediocre. And we are allowed to have mediocre people on our side. But and I don't say that as shade, because I do think she makes she makes pops. And I think another thing that people are not considering is that there is this thing that frequently happens in the digital space where once someone is allotted the position or the role of public target, and people can just exercise cruelty on them without any limitation, people will take advantage of that, and anything that a person does is going to be wrong. I think she's also acting from a defense. That does not justify her being colorist, because she is. That does not justify her being mean to Cleo, because she was. That does not justify her being a terrible friend or using her friends like pawns, because she did. And I think another aspect of the conversation that is important to take into account is that people are just like, no matter what the girl does or did, or what she said, didn't say, whether she responds to somebody like getting at her or not, like it's just going to be it's none of it is going to be enough. And I think it's okay to say that people just weren't going to like her from jump. They don't like her now. People will find a reason not to like a person that they were already set out not to like. As far as even the conversation that you just mentioned, Kenny, I remember that night specifically, and as someone who is also on the receiving of that frequently, I know how people on Twitter specifically are. Like that girl, unprovoked, said that they needed to send that girl back to the hood. Like that girl comes from poverty, and she was performing, and imagine somebody while you're in the middle of putting out your artwork, things that you're working on, whether you like it or not, and somebody is like, you need to send this bitch back to the hood. Like I think it's like a little unfair to just dismiss like the level of scrutiny that she's worked under, because she has. That does not justify the shit that she's done, the colorism, all of the things. Like I'll be the first to acknowledge that, because I think it's weird, especially that Doechi text. That shit did not make sense, because last time I checked, Doechi don't bother nobody. And Doechi is extremely talented. But I say that to say that is an important thing to consider too. Like, and there are so many assumptions that are being made about the girl. Like, respectfully, Rebecca, even you're like, she's insecure, her friends hate her. Like, we don't know that. Like, we just genuinely do not know that. And I do believe like what she's displaying in many, like, because we don't know all of her friends, all of her connections. Like I think it's just important to talk about the shit that we do know, which is that she has displayed colorism. Her comment about Doechi is fucked up. How she treated Cleo is fucked up. We do not have to speculate. We do not have to play make-believe. We don't have to play pretend. We don't have to strip away context where people have disrespected her. What we can acknowledge and what we should acknowledge is that she was being colorist.
And I agree with that, but we're having this conversation because Cleo had that whole storyline that she gave with her experience. So what I do know is just what Cleo stated. Cleo talked about these different instances. She went in and talked about how her friends being Ice Spice. We don't know these people. We don't know these celebrities. We don't know nothing about them. But we're having this conversation because of Cleo's experience, and then we're taking from the other things that have been questionable that Ice Spice has done, and we're adding that.
And also in the sense that I do get the sense that Ice Spice doesn't necessarily negate any of the claims made by Cleo, unless I've missed something there. But ultimately, what response has been stated from her, which at that point, you might as well not give one. But I understand why she would, because she feels like she needs to defend herself. But essentially, it was, well, what do you mean we didn't have fun? What do you mean you didn't talk about the time you ate a lot? And it's like, what the
and then she said the waiter was like saying you done
wolf,
eat the whole room.
You done ate
you fat, yeah.
And that's where
exactly.
And that's
she
where
doubled down.
That's where I think, like, in connection with the like attacks outward about colorism, I do think that there's something there about fat phobia internally that is all like combined together. And it's sure, like, this also got me thinking when we were bringing up, like, the constant barrage of criticism that she may be receiving. And it goes into question, like, how, an audience should engage or shouldn't engage, and how a artist should or shouldn't engage. And I have wrestled with this thought a bit, because there's a part of me that just says, if you want to clap, you got to be able to get clapped at, regardless of who you are. But then there's also a certain level of responsibility to your audience, or even responsibility to your own well-being, to stay kind of detached away from certain aspects of social media. I don't even know how possible that is nowadays, because that's such a big part of people's, like, their branding and your externalizing. But I guess I'll just kind of open that up. Like, how do y'all think that artists should or shouldn't engage with viewers' criticism?
I have a lot of thoughts. Like, I have a long line of thoughts that I think, like, are different nuance. I think a lot of different things can be true. And whenever, like, the internet gets a hold of something in public discourse, like, it has to be binary. Somebody has to, if you find somebody guilty of a thing, then they're all bad. You know what I mean? Or the other one's all good. And I don't think that's the case. One, I think, with just generally, since Kenny was just talking about it, I think there is this massive tendency for people to act as though fame or visibility or building platforms changes a human being from just being a regular person. Like, they have no stronger an army of mental defense or any of that shit. Like I can only imagine.
They don't become superhuman.
Like, at the end of the day, people do this thing where when they think it's objective, when we all have a consensus about a person, we think that makes it like that person should then just like have to live with that and be immune to that. Like, they're like not a regular person. If I'm Ice Spice and the consensus is that everybody on the panel felt very comfortable being like talentless. That's a indictment, like, imagine everybody thinking you're talentless, and they say it and they get it off and they repeat it nonstop, and that's a thing. Everybody feels comfortable because they think that about you. Everyone feels comfortable on just shitting on you. You're a person. She's a 20-something-year-old girl. Like, I don't know, who's not been famous that long. I'm not sure how or why. Like, all the things, anytime I see people like talking like Ice Spice is the meanest girl for some clap back online. I'm just like, as a person who gets shitted on online, and I know all these things feel and these comments and these constant, like, you're not seeing, you think you see all the love she experienced, but you're not seeing, she's seeing all the hate and all the things that people are saying, and she's seeing that all day. Imagine you're just getting ready to put out your first album. If you already have everybody talking about you talentless, you only this, get 50 minutes of fame, yada, 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 you feeling all that pressure, whatever have you. Like, you have a bitch you was friends with trying to bring you down, one of the biggest artists in the game, whatever, mad at your whole fan base trying to tear you up, yada, yada. You put out your album cover that you're excited about it, and immediately the people who are your fans, you know what I mean, who are supposed to support you, all get in there like, oh, this sucks, let me show you how it could be better. You would feel sensitive about that. Like, she's a regular person, but we have this like dismissal to it. It's always like, we have such an emphasis on the feelings of the people who develop the parasocial relationships, and it's because we relate to them. Like, there's always this need to like always center, the audience feels this way, and why it was a fair or objective criticism with no recognition that could be true, and this person can still just be one person seeing thousands of complaints and criticisms, and they feel all that in mass. It's not like you read one criticism and then you reset and you're not mad anymore. You feel all these and you start lashing out. You know what I mean? You feel sensitive to the next thing. So I think that's the thing I'll say in general. Second, obviously, Ice Spice is a colorist, right? Like, I think it's important to say this, and one, say the entire hip hop game in our communities and shit are generally colorist. Like, colorism in the game that she is in, rap and hip hop is a colorist industry. So I will say that it'd be interesting to me when like an Ice Spice gets a label as a colorist, and it's like less than like she should be done. Meanwhile, every Too Short rapper of all my time, Drake, Lil Wayne, every one of them is a colorist on display, right? Like, give me a break. Like, you know what I mean? Like, not for nothing. Like, who she's in a rap beef with? Lotto, otherwise known as Mulatto. Like, seriously? Okay, so you know what I mean? They're all colorist, yes. So that's true. I recognize that Ice Spice was colorist ages ago. I feel like when she had a Teen Vogue interview, and they asked her something, and it was clear to me, which is clear to me about a lot of Black people. They do not understand or do not want to understand or accept like what colorism is, like, period. And I think that's because people, they then feel vilified, or they feel like their accomplishments are taken from them. It's the same way white people carry on when you try to tell them about white privilege. You know what I mean? It's the same way. So as a dark,
before I go,
yes,
because just like Olay, yes, everything you said. I think that Ice Spice still should be held accountable for her colorist ways. She has them. There is no denying that. Anybody in denial about that, you need to please like tap in with reality. And I think like there's a conversation to be had about like cruelty and how comfortable we feel being cruel to other people especially in the digital space where we don't have to say it to their face. She is ultimately, and maybe it's because I'm 30, but when I was 24, she came into like popularity or fame when she was 22. She did not have any prep work. She didn't have like the supports or like the background. She didn't have like, she was skyrocketed to that. And I feel like that's part of why she is still developing as an artist. She should not have made it. Well, I'm not going to say she shouldn't have made it. I'm going to say that the level to which she reached in such a quick amount of time is a lot of pressure and stress. And I can only imagine what that's like. And like to have so many people comfortable being cruel, like nonstop to you as hard as a young 20-something. I could not, well, I don't have to imagine because I'm quite familiar with what that was like, but I could only imagine it on that scale. And I want to say like people like Chris Brown can say like that women, like dark-skinned women don't belong in their sections.
Kodak Black,
and these men still have like very, like, mind you, argue
YG.
But as much as like the heat that these men do get, like from the subsects of the internet that do talk about colorism and who actually give a fuck about colorism, like they do not get anywhere near the same heat as somebody who would like say an Ice Spice. Nicki Minaj is even colorist. I
was gonna say that. That's next in my monologue. It's on my monologue of my things, of the multiple things that can be true. Looking for and scared of the Bobs.
But
man, you start.
I was gonna say even Flo Milli, like, and anybody who knows me knows, like that is like Flo.
You about to say all that shit and then leave?
That's what I said. Now you done.
Right, because I wanted to respond to the talentless allegations while you were present.
Hold on. Let me say this before you even get into that, because I do want to hear what you have to say. Like when I say like I think it's unfair, one, she was put into the game, like she was skyrocketed to a place that many people work 10 years. You know, they say it takes 10 years to be an overnight success. She did not have that 10 years. She got into music as soon as she got into music, probably like a year or a couple months really later.
Yeah.
She was skyrocketed into the position. She did not have like the room to grow. And I do believe she deserves the room to grow as an artist. She's not there yet. And I will say, like, it is a talent to make a song that sounds good. She has bops. Deli is a bop. I don't care what nobody says. That shit goes
It was
up
catchy.
But like, and that is a talent. Like that in and of itself is a talent. And I believe that people are. Yes.
Yeah, it is.
I'm not gonna opine on that.
MCs who make shitty music that does not sound good. Like we can all acknowledge that. I won't name names. The point is that in and of itself is a talent, and I believe that people are so unnecessarily, and this is just I mainly want to talk about the internet culture that comes behind it, because there's this like weird, like, which is why I don't use Twitter as much these days, because there's this weird like just like comfort with just being unnecessarily outraged and cruel and harsh towards people, and using like if a person is selected as a public punching bag, people will like go off on that person without any, like, it doesn't matter what Ice Spice did, and she is colorist.
Once it became okay to like jump on her ass, niggas was gonna be on it. Yes, to my list of things. Here we go. Here we respond.
Yeah, because, okay, so first of all, I agree with everything with respect to cruelty online. I feel like everybody here creates stuff on the internet, so I think we have a personal attachment to that. But also, I think from what I've gathered from you all just seem to be good people. So nobody wants, and especially when it's an onslaught, right? Public work comes with public criticism or public engagement, but it doesn't mean first of all, it doesn't mean that I have to give a fuck about what you're saying. And it doesn't mean that I have to adjust my work according to millions, in the case of Ice Spice's people's opinions. Now, specifically to the point of talentlessness, like talent has a definition, and I feel like she's definitionally untalented in the arena that she does her work, right? Talent is a natural aptitude or skill for a thing, right? And rap is rhythm and poetry. To create a song, first of all, I think you can be entertaining, right? And still not have the talent to work in the arena in which you work, right? Rap is rhythm and poetry. To make a song, there's an engineer, there's a producer, there's a team, and even before she got her team, there's an aesthetic. Beauty is an asset to entertaining the masses. And I think that if there was a dark-skinned, plus-size woman making the songs that she was making, I don't know if they would be as successful. One. Two, I think if you stripped everything down, the talent of rap, right? Because that's what she is, right? She's a rapper. The talent of rhythm and poetry is absent. What makes the bops, and I think Deli is a bop. I think Like is I'll stream that as soon as we get off this call and shake my ass until next week. But I don't think that that's necessarily her talent. I think that that's community talent. I think that she as an individual is not a good rapper. Well, yes, I think she's not a good rapper. I think that maybe she's talented in other arenas, but as a rapper, rhythm and poetry, I don't see the talent.
I think it's less about seeing her as a rapper and more so just seeing her as I guess I see everybody at this point in my life, I see everybody as a creator. You know what I mean? Like even in being a music artist, being a pop artist, whatever the hell she is, right? Like I see it as, I guess in the same way I know that when I make a video, like it's not just what y'all are seeing, like that I had a role in, right? But like who I even chose to be my editor, how this team came about is my own talent in curating this, how I decided this video should be, yada yada yada. Ice Spice met Riot, like they met in college, you know what I mean? Like realized like, oh, we work together, this would be a mutually good relationship. Like you figure out the kind of thing that would do whatever for me. I think that in and of itself, like building on that, doing all of that she has, picking out the songs and the bops and what works for her, I think that is all a part of her
business acumen.
Talent. Yeah. Look how you go, Herbie. That being said, I don't like Ice Spice music. I'm not even like y'all who will say like it was a bop. I don't gotta sing a motherfucking Ice Spice song on my thing. But I also am 31. I'm also like it ain't really for me. There's lots of people and things, and music is incredibly subjective, right? Like, so, but I will say I've always not liked when a successful, which is hard to do. Like, and that's why I never like one hit wonder. Like when people call someone a one hit wonder, to dismiss them as though it's easy to get one hit. Like that doesn't count. Like I always feel like it's just a way that you dismiss accomplishments and what they've done. So I just don't, subscribe to it necessarily, but nonetheless, whether you think she's talented or talentless, I just think if I'm Ice Spice, I understand how I come to a position where I start to feel upset and defensive and yada yada yada. That's all I was saying there. That being said, I think I love Cleopatra. I think like when the baby Storm text messages and stuff start coming out, the part we didn't y'all laugh out, Storme is mentally unwell. I like mentally unwell, like in the highest form. So when I saw those, I didn't know I couldn't trust what was happening. Like, you know what I mean? Like honestly, I have seen that girl. I've watched a video of her talking about Hannah, the world is gonna end, Hannah husband gonna send you on flight. Have you seen it?
I know nothing about
Okay. All right, y'all try to go buy that. No, me, I can bring the facts to the table.
Donald Trump is going to be assassinated this year before the upcoming 2024 election. His death is what is ultimately going to cause a civil war in the United States. If you want to know what the Civil War will look like, go to any movie theater and just watch the movie Civil War. That is exactly what will happen in the United States. It is not just a movie, that will happen exactly how you see it in the movie theaters. All of the rich will die and only the poor will survive. If you are poor and you are watching this, just hold on a little bit longer. I'm going to set you free very soon. You will need to flee the United States and go to any other country. But there is only one country that you cannot go to. Those who are meant to hear this message will understand immediately. Don't worry about selling your house. Don't worry about saving money. Do not worry about money. I know that you cannot afford to leave the United States. My husband and I will single-handedly fund any and every poor person that wants to leave the United States. But again, that is only if you are willing to sacrifice all material possessions, all of it. You need to listen to my instructions very closely and do exactly as I tell you. You can go anywhere you want in the world. Think about the most beautiful place that you could think of, Africa, anywhere. You can go anywhere you want in the world, anywhere. All of you will get to pick exactly where it is you want to go. Whatever is your dream place, the place that you've been just wishing that you could live forever, that's where you can go. When the day comes, the only thing that you're going to bring is your phone, your charger, and your loved ones. We will pay for your flight to go anywhere in the world that you dream of living in. Any flight that we pay for is safe. Is safe and is guaranteed to not crash, as long as we pay for it. You will need your phone because I will communicate to all of you via TikTok, and you will bring your loved ones. When you get to your destination, you will officially be free. My husband and I will pay for every flight until every last poor person is evacuated from the US. When we're done with our mission here, our family will relocate to Italy.
I've watched a video of that bitch talking about the whole world. She'll fly into some unknown location and save the world from the rapture and husband. That bitch is unwell. Deeply unwell.
It was given a little Jonestown, so I had to click off.
Like 190,000%. So when that person woke up and decided, I hate Ice Spice, I need to bring Ice Spice down, I apologize if that's not a mission I was ready to follow. Like, what is the agenda there? You know what I mean? And listen, people be bitches all the time. Everybody have I'm sure people have in all their arenas of all their created, you have falling outs with people be a bitch, you be mad at somebody, you be talking shit about them, yada, yada. If everybody could just have all my text messages, oh my God. I've talked mad shit on, right? So I'm like, that's one. Two, seeing on the Nicki Minaj stuff, Nicki Minaj is a notoriously mean and nasty person. I'm so sorry. The Barbs, everybody fight, whatever. She's a mean and nasty person. Even if we have more than 10 years of Nicki Minaj being a mean and nasty person and bullying and having problems with multiple girls, multiple rappers. You could just pick a year and you can pick a girl rapper Nicki Minaj has had a problem with, right? Pick an era. She has problems with eras of rappers before her, after her, during, you see what I'm saying? So to me, truth, multiple things could be true. Ice Spice could be a nasty person, and it could also be like reading those messages like, yeah, I get it. Nicki Minaj is notoriously nasty and hard to work with. You went and brought her a song trying to have a relationship with her. You've had falling outs with a bunch of other rap girlies on behalf of trying to, you know, like ingratiate yourself to Nicki and do this and da-da-da. And Nicki Minaj can give a fuck about any of that. She's still trying to take all the profits on the song. Like, I understand someone texting to their personal friend who they believe is their best friend being mad about that. Nothing about that was thingy to me. Like, nothing about that blew my mind at all. That being said, now, I didn't see the Doechi shit. I didn't see that at all. If I had seen the Doechi stuff, that's nuts. And also it's inaccurate too, because I literally just saw a video yesterday, a Doechi talking about, you know, getting a BBL or whatever. So Doechi very much so, this idea that Doechi is the chosen dark, like as though that would change anything, like that would negate colorism, like that isn't in and of itself. The idea that you think there are a chosen dark skin only allowed to be a couple of them that are successful is the problem. Like, even if it is the problem, right? And like, you see an unlimited amount of spaces for bitches like you who are like, whether you think she's talented or talentless, she's way less talented than Doechi. Like,
can I get clarification on something?
Yeah.
When she was talking about Doechi, is this in reference to? I'm just confused. First of all, like, did she think that? Damn it! I'm done lost my train of thought. I done got thrown off. Somebody go first, and it'll come back to me. Damn.
So they were on tour. So I don't know if you're like, why was she talking about her? They were on tour together, opening up for Doja Cat. And so they shared space. And I guess she was lamenting about like conversations they had in private where Doechi was telling her, as a dark skinned woman, I have to work harder in the industry. And so that's what she was talking about.
But we knew that like, if anybody's ever known a light skinned gal, yeah, like Kenny is our resident exception. You know what I mean? Like there are exceptions to the rule, but like.
It's
like getting offended about like an objective truth. Like
she's offended by it because that truth is a reflection. Doechi's truth illuminates Ice Spice's privilege. You know what I mean? She feels offended by it because that's exactly what everybody's always pointing out. The fact that the Flo Millis, the Doechis, the JTs even, you know what I mean? All of these like dark-skinned Black women like do not get like, think about, like, I remember when Ice Spice was at the Met Gala. It's her first, like, she just became relevant. She's at the first Met Gala. Meanwhile, like, Carisha and they had to get there on Diddy arm. The girlies, Meg, them don't be at the Met Gala. You know what I mean? Like, has Meg been at the Met Gala?
She has.
Yeah. Okay. Good. All right. Good. Oh, excellent. Foreign dog.
Excellent.
No, like I wanted to like just note how much of the conversation, and rightfully so, warrantedly so, but still, I think the objective holds, the observation holds that a lot of the discussion around colorism is through a lens and a vantage point of the light-skinned person being the fixture and the juxtaposition point forward. So, like, I understand the utility in breaking down Ice Spice. We've also humanized Ice Spice. We've looked at Ice Spice from every different angle, defying redeeming angles and flattering vantages of Ice Spice. And understandably so, still holding her accountable to the colorism, but yet again, still using her as the frame of reference and the focal point to discuss that colorism. And I think that's... I know we get like, that's why I'm saying, so like, that's why I won't go to essentially, because that, my reason of talking about it and like, the way that I talked about it in the videos, especially how dark skin as an anti-Blackness as a concept is so universal that it not only transcends like different cultures and whatnot. Like you got like in places homogeneous, like Japan still colorist or still anti-Black, you know, and they ain't even got there. You know what I mean? Like, so like anti-Blackness as it pertains and as it permeates, it's something that transcends not only, of course, gender and sex and whatnot, but of course, just people in general as a concept. Bible, ecclesiastical anti-Blackness. If you talk about like the way that like you look in the Bible and when they discuss an evil, they talking about slavery in the Bible. You know what I mean? So like, I want to get to like how even then, the way that we discuss colorism and just like the occupation of dark skin friend, especially, I want to know what you're dealing with in pertains to that, because the misogynoir angle is something that I wasn't able to speak to. I know how I've done it to dark skinned women. Like I've been around it took me some time, and this is because of like growing up in the Bahamas, and as a limey knows, very colorist, very anti-black, despite being fully black for the most part, just sprinkles of white. But like we've had instances where I had to realize, even in a group of gals, when we going out to the club, we going out to Aura and things like that, and it's a group of gals, and you the like the as we yet again TM, we talking. And we trying to figure out who would take the fall and talk to the darkest gal in the group.
No,
sorry.
I agree. It is you. And that's why like I want to like speak about exactly like how like one thing about like the way I go about it is I'm not going to like speak about it in the purest terms like most leftists will and say that, yeah, I never clutch pearls. No, like this is someone that's perpetrated it and then had to realize, looked at it and audited how difficult it is and how disgusting and repugnant it was to be in a position where you allow yourself to only have empathy for people that you have desire for. And when you don't, or when that person does not fit that mold of desirability, how do you engage with them as a person? And then a lot of, and I speak this to the audience, like how do you treat the dark-skinned gal at the bodega? How do you treat the dark-skinned gal that serve you at CVS? How do you treat the majority of them? And also as like people who are darker than blue on this call, how have you all seen it operate? Because that's a great value.
I know I've dealt with it, but I want to just circle back, and I wish Shaheem was there. I want to go back to it being a mental thing, right? This to me mirrors people who don't like themselves. Back then, I know that being like light skin was considered the thing. The lighter you were, the better, right? I have a family that is super blended when it comes to skin color. My immediate family were mostly dark. My mom's dad is like half Cambodian and from like a mistress type. It's a whole thing with that. But we all have like mixed, my uncle has like blue eyes from that side. It's just the whole thing. But I saw them treat him with a different kind of respect. And when the Haitians would talk about him, they would say grimel, grimo, you know, which means light-skinned person. And they would be like, you know, when you say that, you know that there was stature. It comes with that. And I remember my first experience with it as a child and now as an adult. I'm 34, so I might be the grown woman on this call here. But so with me as a child, I remember being in kindergarten. I'll never forget this day. I went home. I naturally have like long, thick hair. And so my mom would comb it. She would do her best job, her bestest. And, you know, parted with the fours, with the bulagogo and the little things in them, you know, send me with my, barrettes. I'm saying all these words in Creole because I don't even know them in English. But I would go to school like that. And I would be so upset because then there was like the girl who was supposed to be black too, but her hair is curly. She light skinned. And the teacher who was white, Miss Morris, wherever you at, heifer. This lady,
gather her.
She was my kindergarten teacher, and she used to pinch me for speaking Creole, which was my first language. And she would just put me in the corner, and I'm a really good kid. But she would just like, there was a whole thing, and then send me to do work at the same time for her, for the other Haitian kids. But I would look and I would see how she would treat the little mixed baby and the white kids. And I would be like, okay, at least this girl is black. I can relate to this girl at least. But it wasn't like that. She would treat that little girl like, here, do you need something? And I'd be like, Miss Morris, can I have a pencil? And she would treat me terrible. I went home and I told my Mom, can you make my hair curly? Can you make my hair curly like the girls? Because the kids at school, you know, and the teacher, she doesn't like me. My mom had to sit me down and tell me how beautiful my skin color was. She's like, no, my dad is super dark, and that's where I get my skin color from. And she's like, you know, you have beautiful dark skin. You have beautiful black gums. I got to middle school, and my teacher, who was a light-skinned man, Mr. Alfred, wasn't even a teacher. He was a substitute teacher. He told me, he did all the shaming. I had a light-skinned friend who was thicker, and he called her the Hamburglar. I had a friend that was in between who was a little, were you about to laugh for it? Oh.
No, that's mad. Like, this is middle school?
She was thicker, and she was a beautiful girl, and he called her the Hamburglar. I had another friend. We were all standing in front of him at this time in chorus class. He called my other friend, he said she got a big old 4 head, a 5 head. He looked at me, And he's short, he's light skinned, and he ain't even attractive. In this day and age, baby, he wouldn't even make the roster for nobody. And he aged like a banana. Okay, I seen him on Facebook.
All that hatred.
He looked at me and he said to me, he said, this is when they say, he was like, you're black as toast. He literally said that to me. That was middle school. Now we get to high school and, you start getting cute or whatever, and they started to say, you're beautiful. You're beautiful for a dark skinned girl. Is that your real hair? Like your hair is really long for a dark skinned girl. Like, because I'm dark skinned, my hair can't grow. That was that kind of whole conversation. And I had to deal with that a lot. I used to say this. I used to say, I'm going to, and this was me doing it to myself. So this is when I go back to say, sometimes you don't even realize it. The hate that you're giving yourself, like people are giving you, you start to give to yourself too. And sometimes you spew that out to people. So I started to tell myself, I remember the neighbor who was Indian. Was she Indian? Yeah, she was Native American. She literally told me as I was walking down the street with my friends in our little Haitian neighborhood, she said, you guys should try taking colder showers so that your skin can get lighter. So she had that issue with herself. She was a darker woman too, but she was Native American. And she said, you should try to take colder showers so that your skin could get lighter. But I remember I used to tell myself, when I get married, and if I have kids, it's before I wrote that off because I was like, I don't want to mess up my body. But I was like, if I end up having kids or if I end up getting married, I will marry somebody light skinned or white. All my crushes before then were white. I didn't have any black crushes or anything like that. And I said I will marry light skin or white so that I can have a mixed child, and they will not go. As a young person and thinking that is crazy. So they will not go through what I went through. That
was a common thought.
And I literally made that my whole thing. But then when I went to the number one HBCU in the nation, sitting on the highest of 7 hills in Tallahassee, Florida A&M University, baby, they shifted my mindset. My mom did what she needed to do. My dad did what they needed to do to help me carry through. Rebecca, this is who you are. But when I got to FAMU, they instilled in me how beautiful Blackness is and how it is not a monolith, how it is strong, how like just and it's all different shades, all of the things. And even there we had some colorism, right? But I was never told you're beautiful for a dark skinned girl. You're just, I never heard that rhetoric on the Hill at that school. I really went in hard on my Blackness. Oh, our Black brothers. Now, the darker you were, the more I wanted you. That's where I was with it. But I do know when, and I want to go back to the conversation about how I feel like Ice Spice, you have to not like yourself to be perceived as this mean girl. And again, we're having this conversation on the account that Cleopatra had. She was saying because of her, how she treated her friends. I watch her treat her friends like this. On tour, people said she was just boring. She wasn't friendly. She didn't receive people well. Even her hairstylist was saying, this atmosphere was not fun until you came on. If you're a nasty person, and I get, we on this conversation, we've humanized her, which is fine, but we do got to call a thing a thing. If you're a nasty person, you're a nasty person. The hate that you receive is going to be like you, Olay, you say that people come at you and there's these negative conversations. I don't think you've put out hate for you to get it. You're just being yourself. Yeah. You haven't got on there and just started attacking people just because. Do I think I got the type of heart? Do I think everybody should be attacked? No, but it's online space. You online, stuff comes out about you. Stuff that's showing that you're being mean. People are going to choose whose side they want to be on and who they don't want to be on. Her fans are going to go after Cleopatra. Cleopatra's fans are going to go after her. I think if you're a nasty person though, and you go around and do bad things to people, then what do you expect? In my opinion,
I saw because Foreign wanted our experiences. Listen, I grew up in Nassau, which is an incredibly colorist place. Like my mommy is like, that's my mommy. My mommy is incredibly light. Like, so, yeah, my mommy red. Like, and so my mommy told me, and I'm not only dark skinned, I have a Nigerian name. So like that adds a certain level of undesirability and Blackness when people get into the anti-Blackness and their colorism and their xenophobia. I had a special cocktail of all the ways that they consider you undesirable, growing up. That being said, my mommy was quick on the game. Like my mommy is I think one of my mommy's greatest credits I will give her is like my mommy is a light-skinned woman who was always like not only got colorism, like she jumped on it. Like she let me know these people are ignorant, they have an inferiority complex. Like before anyone did it or said it, my mommy had already educated, like as a little girl, like this is how these people go. They have an inferiority complex, they stupid, they this and the next thing. So my mom had already told me that, combined with my big sister had always like made it very clear to me. One, my big sister looks just, well, me and my sisters look just alike. So my big sister's like, we are all gorgeous. That's first of all. But second of all, my big sister let me know like beauty standards are things that are in style, that are determined by these other things. Like people will not see you as attractive, not because you aren't attractive, but because they buy into these other things. So I was always aware, like, they just don't know I look good. You know what I mean? So I was always like highly aware of that. And so that like, my whole life, maybe like I could tell you countless times, like people like, oh, you'd be pretty if you was in mother color, or blah 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 blah. This is the next thing. Like I've always known that. Like, and I've always been surrounded by like, especially in college, I was surrounded by light skinned gals who deeply bought into colorism and blah blah blah. I've known that my whole life. Like in the Bahamas, everything is about who mango skin. This and the next thing, yada yada yada. So there's that. That being so. Absolutely. Like I 100,000%, we obviously know that's what's happening to Cleopatra. That's what's happening to all of them. But I think there's also more to it than that. I think there is an aspect of this is a transactional relationship. Cleopatra and Ice Spice are not friends. Like that is what is made very clear. Like they like, let's be clear. And like I said, the world, the universe likes to be binary. When something is bad and you want to indict a person for that, like one is bad, one is good, and there's no nuance given to the situation, right? They agreed to a transactional relationship. They said the day before they did that Kai Cenat stream, they had just met, and they decided to then go and present as best friends and sell this like story to the public.
I didn't buy it.
Cleopatra agreed to something that she thought would benefit her too. Like that is she knows that Ice Spice, she was to come be her dark skin prop and yada yada yada. She thought that this would benefit her too. She bought into this transactional relationship. That does not in any way like justify Ice Spice deciding to go be a tyrant and go be a colorist demon and go mistreat her and go actively bring her on a thing to go like bring her and tear her down. But it does add how this happened in this transactional relationship where y'all are under the impression that y'all are supposed to be serving each other and trying to like help each other's image. You see how an Ice Spice becomes resentful, that she feels like you're supposed to jump in and help her with her like fake, you know what I mean? Oh, I'm trying to do Nigerian now and you're my friend, my prop I've gotten or whatever. And how Cleopatra also feels like, look at this fake stinking bitch texting, talking shit about me, that I'm talentless, all this shit she talking to this gal. Meanwhile, she needed me in this transactional relationship in order to help her to give an image and yada, 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 da, 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 da. So there's also like a big aspect of that. And then what you have now is two people who engage in a transactional relationship that was supposed to benefit their careers. They intentionally wanted to field perceptions of a friendship and like help sell the public on the idea that either one of them are mutually or this. And when that personally and professionally devolved, now you're coming to the internet to give it to the internet to try to tear that person down because of how this transactional relationship didn't go. So I think there are a lot of things to be discussed. It's obviously colorism, it's obviously these different things, but Cleopatra is not an unknowing, like a friend who was just like used as a prop out of the brand, like out of the blue. Right. She agreed to be that prop when she thought it would benefit and serve her in a particular way. And now this is like the consequences to you know what I mean? Her coming now and letting people know about, oh, this is about her character and this and the next thing, which also, by the way, I don't think you can even truly speak to if you've informed me that you and this person are not friends. Y'all have never been friends. Y'all agreed and y'all have a transactional relationship. And now it has gone like this. But then like now speaking on their, like, it's funny because in the same breath that Cleopatra is letting us know she was never her friend. She can't speak to anything about her, da, da, da. She's also like still asserting herself in some way as like someone who was a friend and close enough to her to be able to speak to her character and all that she deserves and doesn't deserve. So there's a lot of nuance here that is like, I think like blinded by the need to, we need to absolutely like critique, dissect and understand. And also I think like we need to start making like general indictments of how colorist our hip hop industry is and the fact that this is normal. Because something I was going to say earlier and I forgot when we were talking about Ice Spice being ethnically ambiguous and using Cleopatra as a prop and all that. That is a tale as old as time of them doing hip hop. The Rita Oras, the Amy's, you know, all these gals that ethnically Kaylani's, all these gals that what are they black? Do they look like what we think? Do they look like black women? No one ever has to distinguish if me, Rebecca, and Kenny are black, but we take these ethnically ambiguous
Sometimes, but it's stupid.
It's dumb, but sometimes
you could have a Asian look on the right day. I really see it.
It's dumb, but yeah.
But that being said, right, like that has always been a thing of like them trying to get women who are not really black, but they get to be like, now it's this whole big question, and they hide their, their ancestry and all this to try to like milk it to see what it could do for them. That is a thing. So Ice Spice is playing at like, I want the criticisms of Ice Spice are absolutely valid, but we need to zoom out and recognize that Ice Spice is doing what all of her forefathers before her have done, and what they're doing. This is an industry, you know what I mean? They're all agreeing to this and playing this game, but they're taking when it's not going well in the business, it's being presented to us, the public, for internet fodder to talk about it in the same way as though it's our same social dynamics. But this is the hip hop industry. Right.
Yeah. Right. And there's also something to be said about the commodification of the idea of friendships. I find that very interesting and very weird because like sure, like I'm on this podcast with Olayemi, but I actually like Olayemi as a person. If I didn't like her, I wouldn't be here. So I'm trying to understand, like, even in like a conversation of like working together in like a creative space, this idea like, oh, we can get something both out of it. And it's like,
girl, that's the way, honey. I don't know if you haven't seen that.
I mean,
2024, everybody is partnering.
No, I understand. Yeah. I understand it's a thing that happens. My thing is, it just seems in many ways like unsustainable. And I don't know about y'all, but if I don't like a motherfucker, I can't keep acting like I like a motherfucker. It's very difficult.
We've seen so many breakups in spaces that are podcast related, or people. We saw Ice Spice, first of all, with Taylor Swift, but we know, as you guys were saying earlier, that was a relationship that was built because she was saving face for her Nazi boyfriend at the time. And then we don't see them together for real anymore because that was an unlikely pair. But things are just to save face. Right. But I know a girl who I'm not going to say her name, but she's popular and she done did so many shows and podcasts and stuff, but she always leaves because of the bad relationships in these shows or podcasts that she's in. There's always a story about her breaking up or whatever, because a lot of it times you get to these places, you work along somebody, but like you said, Kenny, people are not, I think Cleopatra actually liked Ice Spice and thought it was going to be transactional, but there would actually be a relationship there. But when she
and also maybe there's some assumption that somebody just ain't gonna do you like that. And that's my that's what I'm naive, I guess.
But
in
friendship,
it is.
I was gonna say the way
I'm naive.
I would expect
but I'm like, that's a lot of work.
I'm never gonna be friends.
You could have just stayed home.
If I see a bitch, if I go on Twitter, if one of let's say I have like a transactionally kind of relationship, like a friendly relationship with some creator, and I go on Twitter and some other mentally unwell creator, I starts posting screenshots of that person talking about how I got shit of my own, yada yada yada. The next time that motherfucker asks me to do something, I'm expecting shit. I don't trust that no more. Like, you know what I mean? Like, imagine Herbie if you saw a bunch of texts and I was like, Herbie ain't even really shit for real.
And but people will still show up and go on the shows with people and do all that stuff. But this day and age, friendship, look, because I'm 34, I can say this. In this day and age, friendship is not what it used to be. You used to break up with your friend and try to make up with your friend. And then you either grew apart from them or whatever. Now it's so nasty. You take it to the internet. You take it at the group chat. You talk about this. You throw out everything you can. You send if you have a big platform, all of those people on to go, this is the way it is. You send them on to go attack this person, and then the vice versa. If they have a big platform, it gets real nasty. The friendships aren't true to their core, to the point where people are using online space to beg for friends. Every time I get online, they like, I'm looking for friends in Houston, Texas. I'm looking for friends in Atlanta because my last friend group 5 days ago, they did this to me, and it's crazy.
Yeah, girl, you are the problem. But I do want to to say that even though we are talking about Olayemi's point of like obviously the colorism piece is important, and I feel like we've talked about that, and we can continue to talk about that if that's what you guys want to do.
I never correct y'all on how to say my name, and I'm only be making life harder for y'all. Like y'all, like, and it only be harder for y'all. Like the version y'all say, like what your life harder, and I don't never say nothing. I think they're like, and it only just occurred to me, like, why don't you tell them?
Correct us.
If I say Olay, that's incorrect.
Olay is, so here's the thing, it's my fault. My name is Olayemi, but I say y'all can call me Olay. So I see how it gets everybody fucked up. They go Olay, it must be Olay. No, it's Olayemi.
Okay.
Olayemi.
Y'all heard it.
So I'm gonna say Olay because, girl, I don't want to keep up. So like Olay alluded to earlier, but I feel like between the two of these two characters here in this story, Cleopatra definitely benefits a lot more. This person that we just mentioned, Ice Spice, has collabed with obviously Nicki Minaj. She's worked with the Barbie movie, which was $1 billion film. She's collabed with Taylor Swift, and she was on tour in a way that Cleopatra. Not the mic going flying, in a way that Cleopatra, who had 10,000 monthly listeners and now has, I think, about 60,000 monthly listeners, would not have been able to tour the United States without Ice Spice. But also, I want to circle back to the original point about, I just want to say, like, it's okay to identify as multiracial. Like, and I know that there are people who, I'm not of the belief that you have to be monoracial in order to be Black. I do believe that Barack Obama is Black and Naomi Osaka is Black. But then there are other people like Sophia Richie, I always bring her up, who is a white woman, even though she has a Black dad. Like, some of you girls like are Afro-descendant.
Leave this nigga alone.
Like Aaron.
It's okay.
Like that. It's very much okay to just say like you can have, and I think you can have a Black parent and not be a Black person. You can be Afro-descendant, and that's fine. So I think it would be a lot easier for me to engage with these girls if they just didn't say and if they identified as multiracial. And then one last point to what Foreign said earlier today, when he was like, wasn't really critical about her because they saw a fat ass and, you know, the baby
niggas
afro,
TM,
everybody thought was a wig.
Specifically
TM.
niggas TM. Sorry.
But my question was, when are ever critical of like a multiracial, racially ambiguous bad bitch with a fat ass and a black scent? Like,
never. The answer is never. I'm here to tell you.
You said something else, Foreign. You said that people choose to empathize with her because she's lighter. And I feel like that even in this conversation, like, I feel like we just kind of like Cleo can hold her own naturally, but I don't like the humanization of Ice Spice, to be honest. She's human. But
I was all right.
I will say,
same.
I will say, you know, because if you, to me, again, I just got to put out there, if you a nasty, if you a mean girl, you just that. If you want to go out there and your shit gets aired out, it's not, people are going to, because you are a superstar. I'm not saying that she's not a human. If I were her friend or if I were in her friend group, if I knew her like that, I tend to, because if I'm a fan of an artist, I tend to be like, damn, she just messed up this one time. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I mean, I think that,
me with Beyonce.
But right, people like people do with Beyonce. But I'm like, I don't really care for her, and that's probably why I don't. In a real world, in my real circle, people make mistakes and I forgive, right? I don't know Ice Spice, but I do know you have this big platform, and this is not the only time we've heard stories like this from you. You did, and right after this incident, she got on is the little look because I sound like
for the circle,
and she basically was like, I'm about to get, you know, it's not even that serious. Like, why is she making it a big deal? Like, and that's what she said. So she didn't even give a damn.
And why is it not? Why is it not humanization to call her a mean human? Like, bitch, you're mean. So that's not still humanizing you. I'm just saying you're mean.
You can't be shocked when
I think also. I think also we're using the example of like internet hate versus like real life interactions she's having with people. And as far as like real, like people who work with her, there's a pattern reoccurring where people are like, no, she's not nice. And I can't speak on that other than to say that other people that seem to be around her say she's not nice. And if that's the case, I mean, I do think it's strange.
One who is mentally unwell and the other who entered a transactional relationship with her said she's not nice.
This is what I'm saying,
not
though.
a whole industry of people. Like, that's the truth. Like,
well, okay, but like I'm saying,
both of them had text messages that revealed her not nice behavior, and the not nice behavior, the pattern was the colorist angle.
So I was going to
be honest, like if you get into a space right after you are accused of denigrating a person that like you supposedly have a friendship or a transactional relationship. The only thing that we could go off of, appealing to the Esquire in you, the only thing we could go off of is the fact that right after she got those accusations, Shorty came up inside circles very boldly, very blazingly, not demure at all. And she
not mindful, not demure.
She tear into the gal, call her whatever the waiter say. She snort
called her
up
a
the
vacuum.
food like it was a vacuum.
She said this.
Oh, it was raw. And Shorty say like she displayed like a level of entitlement and like just a total disregard for the fact that this gal just bear the sundry everything that she's gone through. Call her a vacuum.
The show don't stop.
I think.
Yeah.
Listen, I love Cleopatra. Like, I want to be clear. I'm a Cleopatra fan. I really, really am. I love Cleopatra, and I'm not an Ice Spice fan. I don't listen to not a damn Ice Spice music. But at the end of the day, I think there is like, colorism is true. That has happened. Ice Spice did something wrong to her. Yes. But I think there is, because the internet, when we get emboldened as people, like we get like, colorism is something that angers you, like is angering. Like this whole reality that Cleopatra is in this situation, all these other different things, like upset you so much that I just think there is a way that we are seeing that we're discussing this as though Cleopatra is like a random, like a there's a way that Ice Spice is being like vilified like a demon, and Cleopatra is a super victim, and I think it's not that far like this. It's not quite what it is being like presented to me. I don't think it's like that. Like, I understand in the world where, like, listen, Cleopatra. It's crazy for Ice Spice to be talking about Cleopatra like she ain't nobody. Cleopatra was somebody before her. She had a platform first. She's obviously benefiting from her. That being said, in terms of what they do, in terms of music, Cleopatra has not been successful at all at music. She does not, half the people who know Cleopatra does not know that she makes music. And a lot of who go look at it, listen to it, not my cup of tea. You know what I mean? Like, that's not where she's doing well. So she has entered this relationship with Ice Spice to be way more known and to get a lot from it and to get benefit from it. Cleopatra would not be on nobody's tour. Certainly not no Ice Spice tour or that size or whatever if she's not doing this with Ice Spice, right?
But the thing,
I see no contract where she say, okay, I can give you clout if you give me block. Like, I ain't see that though. Like, I mean, like, the thing is though, what we have seen, right, is the fact that gal is wrong, not only wrong, but she wrong and strong. She wrong after niggas them say after. Like, if I showed you this, Alimi, you would be all like, yeah, I ain't gonna lie.
You and I both know. You know a conversation we just had yesterday. You know bigger. You know good and well. If I went online right now to go air such and such out, you all allow me to go take it to the internet, even though you know he's wrong. You would say that. So don't act like this just because.
No.
Listen to what I'm saying. When you don't, there's something, I understand a bitch being mad if y'all have a transactional relationship, y'all have a fraudulent friendship, y'all decided to agree and have this transactional friendship in order to try to benefit
that she have that.
And in somebody, Ice Spice, Ice Spice, for her own personal Ice Spice one thing. Clearly, I do agree with Rebecca that Ice Spice is probably insecure about her own blackness and being perceived that way or whatever. That Cleopatra is there to help her with a perception that bothers her own insecurity. But in terms of Ice Spice success, Ice Spice being ethnically ambiguous and being able to like charade quietly, she black will always benefit her. She didn't need Cleopatra to be successful. She needed Cleopatra to help her create a perception that would assuage her own insecurities, right? But for Cleopatra, Ice Spice is exposing her to a much bigger platform. Ice Spice is putting her, on this tour, yada yada yada. This and that's it. I still maintain Ice Spice is dead wrong. I don't think Ice Spice is in any way right. But what I'm saying is, when this transactional bullshit friendship, y'all, you voluntarily decided to go be a prop so that you could get something out of it and when it benefited you. When that did not go right, you then came to the internet to completely, the intention, I don't think she's wrong. I don't think she's wrong in feeling that way, but the intention is to try to bring her down. It's like between Storme doing this next one, the intention is to try to destroy the public perception of her and end her career or whatever. That's how she feels. That's how she perceives it. If I just put a bitch on my tour who had an opening for me, whatever. I'm a bitch. If I'm a bitch, like Ice Spice clearly is, she clearly does not understand colorism or what's wrong or any of those things. She perceives herself as having, we engaged in this transactional relationship in which you were supposed to get a benefit. I put you on my tour that you wouldn't have been able to get on, helped you increase your audience, and you came on the internet to try to end me, have everybody shitting on me en masse at a time when my album just flopped. I'm already going shit. It makes sense to me that the bitch got on Twitter space and talk crazy. That's not that. I'm not gonna sit here and act like it's unfucking believable to me. Like, we do these things and then we all like, oh, what a mean awful.
We're going toe to toe. You try to get me, I'm gonna try to get you. You try to play me, and I kept taking it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I understand Cleopatra doing it, but I also understand Ice Spice being mad too. I understand.
No, what I mean is though, as explained by Cleo, that Ice Spice invited her to the tour and then treated her like shit on the tour. So in an effort to like use blackness, but even if it was supposed to be this transactional experience, even if they weren't friends at all, Cleo still didn't get what she wanted out of it because she didn't put her on the marker. She didn't put any, like, she didn't pay her. She was telling her to pay for everything along the way. So in that transactional experience, but I think what she's trying to say, Cleo, is that I thought it was going to be like a friendly thing where you put me on, because there is such thing as friends putting each other on, but and maybe that's where she's getting confused. Like, it's entirely transactional, or it's friends working with each other.
This is what I'm saying about when the internet, like when we start discussing things with no respect to like the industry. If you go listen to 50 Cent, any of these fucking talk about who they go put on tour, who they put on or whatever, yada yada yada, go listen to all the artists. Cleopatra, like, it's been, and if you go listen to all the other hip hop podcasts and all the who go work in that industry, Cleopatra wouldn't have been paid. That's not like abnormal. You know what I mean? Like, that's not some abnormal thing in their industry. But we are looking at it. We're going, well, if I'm your friend, if they're friends, then Ice Spice should have done this, but they're not friends.
You asking, okay, maybe this is my ignorance showing. You asking to follow you around the world and I'm not getting a dime?
Do you know how many of these
so much
with all these artists going on tour with them and
maybe I don't.
Money? That's a regular thing of these artists bringing all their friends and their homies with them and da da da. That is like a normal.
No, not coming with you. I'm performing.
I'm telling you, it's a bunch of, that's not abnormal.
That's wild.
But they go because it's an opportunity where they would have never got this exposure. Half of the people, think about it, in media, do you think I get paid for the majority of anything I do, political commentating wise or anything? You do it to try to create the next opportunity and exposure.
Yeah. Exposure is currency as well.
Yes.
And so if she dumped tens of thousands of monthly listeners, and to Olay's original point, people weren't checking for her music like that. She's not successful in that space. So it offered her an opportunity to shift her social media content to I'm on tour, right? Could Ice Spice have lended her celebrity as a friend? Yeah, but the point has been driven home that that's not her homegirl. That is your networking partner. And honestly, when you're working in a field as competitive as music, you really ain't no friends in the game, right? So it's everybody is a competitor or a strategic ally until you can get to the next step, because music is a dog eat dog industry. So I think it's very nice. And I also think Cleopatra was very aware of that, which is why she didn't say anything until the end of the tour. She did send her a text message, and Ice Spice did blow that out of proportion and didn't handle that correctly. And so I think that she said, okay, well, how can I leverage this even further? Let me take this beef to the internet and get people now people are engaged in this drama. I'm going to drop a diss track. Now people are going to listen to this diss track. And so it's all about,
she dropped a diss track?
She benefited so much.
I didn't know that.
Or she dropped another song that the girls are, I guess is her diss track. Honestly, I don't get into Cleopatra for the music.
I get another song because she's funny.
And it's okay. Like, honestly, that's another thing. The pressure to be a multi-hyphenate when you're not talented in every arena, like, you have to understand the length, like you may be stretching a little bit too far. And she may have an audience. Just like I don't think Ice Spice is talented. That doesn't mean that she's not a good entertainer. Well, she's not a good entertainer either. But that doesn't mean that her music. It doesn't mean that her music doesn't entertain people, right? And it doesn't mean that you cannot be successful in an arena that Herbie Revelist doesn't think that you're talented in. So I think that if she wants to do it, do it. But I think the pressure to be a multi-hyphenate is working at some people's detriment. This is kind of like a tangential point, because she's so good in the comedy lane. She's so good in the entertainment lane. I would have said, girl, let's go to acting. Let's go on a comedy tour. I think that you'll make so much more money there. Yeah, she should be hosting red carpet. She should be.
Yeah.
But I mean, if music is where her heart is,
she could try it. Listen, I'm not knocking nobody. I didn't think Ice Spice was talented, but she did make bops, right? She made songs the kids could vibe to. She's showing her panty, right? That's what this meant. But I feel like she, she's bored with what she got going on right now too. I feel like when she started, she was super young. I don't think innocent. Everybody got problems. I don't care about the how she started or then she came out the game young. And everybody has problems. Cleopatra probably got problems. I'm pretty sure her growing up in New York, being Nigerian, there's a lot of stress going on there, right? I'm pretty sure if she gave y'all her life story, Cleopatra came to the internet. We heard the story. Didn't see any tears. I'm not sure if she was pissed but she said she was sad. She said she was hurt. She said, I wasn't really your friend like that. We made it look like that. And I was trying to actually build a friendship with you. She gave us all of the ins and outs of that. We know it was transactional, but I do know that if, it just goes back to there was once she realized, hey, like, why you ain't get my bags? From that moment on, girls who be like, oh no, this girl tried to check me and I put her on this tour and now she's really gonna know I'm gonna make it real bad for you. Could Cleo have left the tour? I'm not sure if there was her paperwork that was signed where she didn't, because for me, I would have left. You ain't gonna try. You got about one more time to try me. I got my own coin. I'm not about to be sleeping on this bus. I'm leaving. Okay. And I'm going to.
But she didn't, because she knew it was more beneficial for her to stay. And so whether or not she got that chicken salad, she was going to stay on that tour.
She wanted that really bad.
So she isn't a victim.
She wanted that really bad. The whole,
not entirely,
rapper credit. She wanted that. But when I listen to her music, it ain't bad. It's just not something I would follow, right? Like I wouldn't follow Ice Spices. I can't even say the kid's name right. But I do know that but it just goes back to, this is not something like I can humanize the situation here. Two people they not really clicking, they not really friends. It got bad, it got to the internet. And it just highlighted how terrible one person is. And I think Cleo definitely knew that this was already the rhetoric about Ice Spice. So let me double down on it. Let me give you what really happened. And let me let y'all know this is truly who she is. And that we all heard it. And I believe, this may be what it is, but if Ice Spice is this type of person, I'm not shocked that she's receiving it back. She doesn't give a damn. She cares, but she has to present on the internet like she don't give a damn. And that's go ahead.
Sorry. Also, this is the year of rap beefs. I just thought about that. Like the currency around that in and of itself is like, if I'm her, and I'm not saying that she is this nefarious, right? When I say her, I mean Cleo. But if I'm her, I'm like, oh, this bitch is giving me cause. This bitch is giving me reason. Okay, so when all this is said and done, and I do take it to the internet, I understand that his became number one because of a rap beef. That Drake and, not to say that this is even near the scale of either one of those things, but I'm just saying rap beefs have always been lucrative, a lucrative endeavor for hip hop artists. So I just feel like the more we talk about this subject, and I talked about this over on my channel like a couple days ago, but the more I was talking about the subject, I'm like, of course, colorism is wrong. Ice Spice is probably a nasty girl, but Cleopatra is just very smart for handling it the way that she handled it. So I feel like she still comes at the end of all of this, even though she experienced what we're interpreting as colorism, because that's what it is. She came up.
That's what I'm saying. Like I don't think, I want to be clear, because don't interpret this as me saying Ice Spice is in any way right or the victim or yada yada yada. No, Ice Spice is Ice Spice did Cleopatra mad dirty. Everything that we think is true, that's operating, colorism, yada, yada, yada. All of that is happening. And that's the function of how that industry and the space that they're in exists at all. All I'm saying is the way that it is intentionally, and it's smart on Cleo's part and how it's working, it's being framed to us, and the way that we're feeding off of it is a discourse that's about friendship and colorism. And that's not quite what the dynamics here are, is what I'm saying. I'm just saying this is more the music industry, transactional relationships and colorism. You know what I mean? That's all I'm trying to do. I'm only just trying to zoom out in the framing. I think Cleopatra is right. I think Cleopatra is absolutely right. I think she has every right to be like, fuck this bitch, express, you know what I mean? Express that, tell us whatever have you. I'm just saying that's what's actually happening. This isn't the fault of her friendship. This is this. You know what I mean? This music industry, this nastiness, this transactional, and she's letting us know. But that's what it really is. But the way we're anchoring it in is because we're seeing it as friendship. I think there's a different way that we're even Ice Spice is wrong and up, but there's a different level of there's a different analysis that we're having on what kind of person she is, because we're perceiving it as a friendship rather than business and all these things. But she's definitely up. She's wrong as and I love Cleopatra.
Cleo, yeah, like you said, Cleo definitely came up. She knew where to go for it. She knew that once I put this on the internet, it worked for her. But she said, I'm leaving here with something. You tried to play me and I stayed. Talking about, God may have one of the strongest shoulders. She's soldiers. She's going to, God wouldn't have her be in this place like that. She said Ice Spice was evil, so she got on, give you playing with her heart. But she made sure that she said, I'm leaving here with something.
Foreign say you attack the Bobs, you humanize this light
I listen. I about to go to my one child. Now you all could go and crucify the Bobs. I ain't go for the beehive while you at it. Go for shit.
Go for not me. Never
go for
me.
Go for the Navy next.
It was never me.
You guys, Olay will always be my girl.
It'll never be me and Herbie. No, that's y'all.
Cut his mic off.
Listen, someone had to do it. People accuse us of never considering those. If we'd been our whole pattern a little bit, how they thought we was just jumping on Drake's neck. And Kenny can do it. She's light skinned. She can do it.
When you're dark, and you speak anything, it's gonna be aggressive. It's gonna be angry. And look, y'all know me, and I usually give a lot of, you know what? Maybe they were having, and maybe, but no, I do not have that in this particular situation. But it ain't only for her. Like you were saying, Olay, a lot of the people who we see in these bigger spaces in music, but it's actually going into the podcast spaces. That's why I don't. And I want to have more relationships. Like when I first met you, Olay, I'm like, I'm in this space and I don't have relationships with a lot of women in this space. So that's why the number one thing that I did with Olay was, love on her. And that's really, because I'm like, this is a good relationship. And
I love Rebecca. We've been sisters for years.
And I love you back. I love you, mean it. It's real. No, that's real. And with other people, I just couldn't get that. There was a lot of side conversations in one space. I caught people talking about, she's just here to look pretty. She's just, regurgitating the news, even though I am a journalist. All those type of things. And it's just like, I don't.
What else is my job? But to say what the news.
It was like, if people don't like, people created, and this is what I don't like and I would say Black women to do in the space. I don't want Black women to get in the spaces, and some people take the bait where you in the space. One space that I was in, and I was working under that man that we said his name earlier, that I said is white. We were working in his space, and they made it so that there was only 2 Black girls. I'm the only dark-skinned one. And they made it so that they would be like, how did you like how she did it? Did you like how she did it? And I don't give a damn. I went to school with that one. She's a great journalist. This one I don't know, but she's really good at her job. We all do it different, and stop trying to pit us against each other. And they would try to put us in rooms and offer us different things and, make it so that we were fighting for different positions or TV time. Yeah. And so I didn't play that. I didn't play that. So that's why, you got to choose where, you got to, people take the bait, and the old ladies are fighting on their podcast. What's the girl's name? The old lady.
Auntie.
Yes. They're fighting
on Zeus Network.
Yeah, they're arguing with each other in mid podcast.
I think the reason why I have the reason why I had to take it, or the thoughts I had today, is because I watch y'all know Julesy. Y'all watch Julesy content?
I don't watch the content.
Her most recent video essay,
the Man of Sales one. You seen that? Boom.
I just got finished it yesterday.
I
gotta go look.
She made an I can send y'all the link. Excellent. She made a general excellent point about the problem of taking these personal grievances and these professional grievances in real life to the internet, hoping for the internet to validate your feelings and the problem it causes. I think that's what I watched right before I went to bed last night, which is why I had the outlook I had about Cleopatra bringing it, you know what I mean? And now us all discussing it, because it puts you in this position, you know what I mean? In real life, I know for a fact, it's I know in my own, even my personal working relationships and stuff, how many creators I've felt like, oh, like you a snake, or you did this, or they try to like juxtapose themselves to you for a particular kind of relationship. Like, when you're meant to serve that role when they bring you onto this show or this thing or this that for that role, and then they don't do you quite right. And I know I've always known it does not serve me to come bring it to the internet, because I bring it to the internet, and then now it becomes the internet fodder for them to like pick apart, pick sides, make binary, reframe it the way they want, and yada yada yada, because it becomes like dialogue. So I was thinking about it from that lens of like, oh, like, you know what I mean? This business, this thing that we did not need to know about. You could have been like, you know what? This did not work well. I don't think she's wrong. I don't think she's wrong. I don't think you're ever wrong to express your feelings. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, someone did something wrong with it. If she chooses to speak on it, that's her right. But I think in terms of just her own, like, and it worked out for her. I think the internet is, and people seem to be mostly on Cleopatra's side. I don't know how that works in the business, and the actual business and the real on the ground of the people of power. Probably not so much. You know what I mean? I don't know. I just don't think it's worth the energy and the pain, like, because it's going to happen. It's going to happen repeatedly in your career. You realize these people aren't what they say they are. The deal won't work this way. It's not conducive, I think, in the long term to come to the internet and be like, let me tell you all this, the next thing or whatever, because the way what it'll become and what the internet might take and do with it in the public.
That's why I don't make story times no more. Back when I first started making like any traction, I used to go out and do story times, and I'm like, yada, 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 this, that, and the other. And I was feeling real like, oh, this is about to be my thing. Like, I'm going to talk about shit that happens in my life. And I was like, y'all don't need to know me like that. Like, you don't need to know I privated so many videos. I'm like, y'all don't need to know all that.
And it's cringy. Any videos that I've had.
I feel like.
Go ahead, baby.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I don't want to keep
go ahead, baby.
fighting with you. I know that was so sweet. I felt caught up in that moment. I definitely felt help. But no, I wanted to say that I feel like with the internet, Cleopatra is winning today, but the internet is very easily irritated. So it's like, you won the battle, but you bring one more issue up to the internet. It's like, so she has a pattern of running to the internet.
Like the victim, you blah, 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 blah.
These two incidences were 5 years apart, 10 years apart. It doesn't matter, because the internet has very short memory, because it takes one retweet for something to be back in people's faces as if it happened yesterday.
Because remember when you...
And it's like, and dark-skinned Black women have a particularly short lead, and that was honestly, that's the thing that I've been thinking. Like, I'm that's like, true. Because not for nothing, I think there's a reason why anytime we've always talked about this, the way colorism affects the careers of Keke Palmer, of Coco Jones, of Doechi, of everybody, right? And anytime you bring it to those women, they always do their endeavor best to get the fuck away from that dialogue. And it's not because, and I remember sometimes we'd be mad because we'll think it's like, you'll perceive it as them not wanting to acknowledge colorism being real, which we know it is, and they know it is. What they also know, I believe, is how the public perceives dark-skinned Black women, like speaking up about the very real barriers and prejudices that prevent them from achieving what they're supposed to achieve. And so I'm like, listen, they with Cleopatra today because they're against Ice Spice, and maybe like, they're not a fan of you, they're anti-me. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like,
yes.
So I'm like, bruh, I'm scared. That's why I've been saying this whole time. I rather us see it as like a business thing than a friendship thing, because then they'll perceive her. They'll like start to see her as the friend, the victim, and whatever, like pity, sympathy here, but then not go support her in the future. And anytime she ever next goes to talk about the impediments in her career, they're going to have their foot to her neck. So that's why I'm saying, like, I love Cleopatra. I'm scared about the framing of this narrative long term.
And it's also like, in real life, friendships dissolve, right? And that's just the nature of things. It's like, and they end often, right? The same friends you had in high school are not the college friends. The college friends are maybe not post-grad. Post-grad is not maybe when you get in a long-term relationship. Most friends are seasonal. Most relationships are seasonal. And not most, but many. I'll say many relationships are seasonal. There are very few people who are like, oh, we were friends when I was in grammar school or grade school, and now we're still friends, and I'm in my 50s. Those relationships are a dime a dozen. And so I feel like because so many relationships just naturally, like, we just evolve different. Maybe you move, maybe it's not always beef, but when you say like, oh, this relationship dissolved for this specific reason, and another business relationship dissolves for another reason, the girl's going to be like, you're the problem. You're the messy one. And it could just be that, no, these relationships, we were actually not as compatible as we thought we were, or we grew in different directions, and that caused contention.
It's that
and now we're not
everybody
friends.
has it. That's what I was saying earlier. Technically, every one of us, if we all brought our problems to the internet, or every time we fell out with somebody, or yada yada yada, or like, oh, they could see our text, you would have a lot of evidence of us seeming like some bitches who are always in problems. Like, I have mad people I'm not cool with no more. Like, mad people. Like, if you mad people. If two bitches who didn't like me got on live and tried to bring me down, I'd crash the fuck out.